This would happen to me on the day that I wanted to film my favorite sun-kissed blushes. I was curling my hair this morning and the curling iron ever so gently grazed my cheekbone and it burnt me. Very disappointed myself. Obviously can't put makeup on top of it, so this cheek is unavailable for the day. And this nice little glow that I have going on, it's not highlighter, it's polysporin. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about some of my favorite blushes, specifically sun-kissed blushes. Like I said, I was planning on doing cheek swatches today to show you guys all of these blushes on the actual face, and I'm still gonna do it, but unfortunately I'll only be able to do it on one side of my face because of this. But I'm really excited to go over all of these blushes with you guys because these are probably some of my all-time favorites, I would say, or at least the ones that I am enjoying the most at the moment. All of these blushes give a similar effect. They're all different types of colors, but they all give that really beautiful kind of sun-kissed, somewhat sunburnt look that I personally really love when it comes to a blush, because I find that it kind of makes the cheeks look the most natural and it gives you just such a gorgeous, healthy look. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy seeing some of my favorites, and if you want to let me know your personal favorite sun-kissed blush, I want to hear it because I want to buy it. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video, and if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe to join the fam. Let's do it. Very first blush that I want to talk about is the one that I'm already wearing on my cheeks right now. And this is also probably the newest formula in my life. I've spoken about it in a couple videos already. It is the NARS Air Matte Blush. And I actually have two shades here that I'm going to mention, but the first one is the shade Gasp. Now the color in the pot is really not super exciting. It kind of looks like a mid-tone brown, but I have learned throughout the years of wearing blush that these types of colors, the colors that first of all look the most boring and that also lean a little bit more bronzier, are often so beautiful and flattering on the cheeks because it really naturally warms up the cheeks without adding too much color. And these types of colors also go with really anything that you have going on in your face. It doesn't lean to pink or peach or even purple or red, so it's not going to clash if you're going to be wearing like a brighter lip like what I'm wearing right now, which is why I did opt for this particular shade. And so this is how the color actually translates on the cheeks, and what I really love about this is it just gives such a gorgeous bronzy look to the cheeks, again, without adding too much color. Keep in mind, I'm not wearing any bronzer on my face at all, so all of that like warmth and also sculptedness that's going on my cheek area is all done with just this blush. So this is called the Air Matte Blush, and this has way more of almost like a powdery consistency. So it's definitely more of a cream to powder formula. So when you apply it to your cheeks, it doesn't have like a ton of slip to it. It doesn't really give you a crazy amount of glow, and this is definitely more of, I would say, a long wearing cream blush formula as well. So I would say that if you are somebody who hasn't really given cream blushes a try yet and you are really used to like powder blushes, I feel like this would be a great formula to transition to because it's going to give you a similar effect that a powder blush is going to give, but still with the benefits of a cream, with it being a little bit more on like the natural looking side and it really meshing gorgeously with the skin. So I really love this. The only thing that I don't like about this, I've said this before, is that it is kind of like a smaller tub, and normally with creams I like to apply with my finger, but with this I can't get in there because my nails are a little bit too long. So I apply this with a brush and it applies perfectly fine. By the way, between every cheek swatch, I'm going to be removing the actual color and then reapplying a little bit of concealer. I'm actually not wearing any foundation right now. I'm just wearing this Rare Beauty concealer. The second color that I wanted to show you guys is Rush. I actually have two of these. This one is actually unused. I just realized I grabbed the wrong one, but it's fine. And here's what it looks like next to Gasp. It's obviously a whole lot brighter and way punchier too. Now, when I want that sun-kissed, almost sunburnt look, this is pretty much the exact type of color that I want to go for. Something that leans more on the coral side, but also has a little bit of those like rustier undertones, because if it's too bright of a coral, it's just going to look like a bright coral on the cheeks. You want almost a little bit of that like terracotta red in there to give you that sunburnt look. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, Jamie, why do I want to look sunburnt? I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I kind of do when I wear blush, especially in the summertime. Again, I just give such a gorgeous natural looking effect to the cheeks and I really like it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how this applies. I'm going to take it directly from the little tub with this brush. This is the Fenty 195. These aren't like crazy sheer, but they do have some good pigment to them. So you don't need a ton of product to get a nice pop. So when I apply, I kind of just tap it and it kind of blends itself as I do that. And you could obviously build this up, make it super intense if you want to, get it really sunburnt looking. Or you can make it a little bit softer, like how I just showed you. But isn't this the most beautiful color? It actually looks so nice with the lip that I'm wearing. And by the way, if you're wondering what the lip is that I'm wearing, because I know I'm gonna get some questions, this is actually another one of the NARS products. It's the Air Matte Lip Color in Joyride. So let's move on to a completely different formula. Let's talk Tower 28. Tower 28 definitely has some of my favorite sun-kissed blushes. Their shade Power Hour is definitely one of my favorites, and that was the one that I was really like going towards the most for a while, but then I discovered After Hours. I really wanted to mention this one in particular because I feel like this is a color that a lot of people would shy away from because it looks really intense. It's almost like a deep plum shade, but I find that this is actually a really beautiful, very versatile blush because you can obviously build this up or you can wear it more on the sheer side, and the color is actually just so beautiful, and I feel like this would work really nicely for a lot of different skin tones as well. As far as the formula for the Tower 28 blushes, they are like the opposite of the NARS blushes that I just showed you guys. They are very emollient, very like slippy in texture. So these are, first of all, going to give a really nice glow to your cheeks, but they're also not going to last a super long time. It's just kind of the nature of this kind of blush. So if you're looking for something that's super long wearing, I wouldn't necessarily go towards these, but if you just want a really nice fresh look that's actually really easy to apply, these are really, really beautiful. I've actually been really enjoying putting this on my cheeks and my lips, and I find it gives such a beautiful cohesive look. Really, with any type of cream blush, you can do that, but this is one of the few cream blushes where I actually do that and do it often. Okay, so to apply this, I'm actually just going to use my finger. I find it applies best. When I use a brush, I can sometimes over apply it. So I'm just picking it up with my finger like that, and then dotting it on my cheekbone area and just kind of tapping away, and it diffuses it really beautifully. I really love this more plummy undertone. I feel like it's a little bit different, a little bit fun, but still super wearable. I'm gonna try and build it up as much as possible just so you guys can get a really good representation of the color. It matches my burn, actually. Color match. All right, so that is Tower 28 After Hours. Alrighty, okay, let's talk about a powder blush, just to kind of switch things up a little bit. This is actually one of my like OG favorite blushes. This blush has been in my life for such a long time. It is the MAC Sheer Tone Blush in the shade Gingerly. This is very similar to the shade Gasp that I showed you guys earlier. It's kind of one of those like brownie nude colors that you wouldn't really typically take a second look at because it just doesn't look very exciting. But again, what did I tell you? When it's a little bit boring in the pan, it looks great on the face. And this is just another one of those beautiful blushes that just kind of warms up the cheeks, gives a little bit of definition. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of this. It gives so much warmth to the face. It's beautiful. Look how nice that looks. This is also a matte formula, so what's nice about that is that you could kind of customize your glow. Some people don't really love super glowy cheeks or like a glow really in only certain areas, so you can put this really everywhere and not really worry about any accentuating of texture. And then you could put your highlighter on top to kind of really pinpoint where you want your glow to go. And there you have it. So next up, let's talk about the M Cosmetics Serum Blush in Sunset Sky. Now, orange tone blushes can be a little bit intimidating, but they can be honestly the most beautiful. And I've tried so many different types of orange blushes, and there are a lot that I really enjoy. This one though is probably one of my favorites because the formula makes it very, very wearable. So this is kind of like a serum blush. It's kind of a hybrid between almost like a skincare product and a blush. So when you apply it to the skin, it blends into the skin like a serum would. It has that really nice oily texture to it. So because of that, it's not going to apply crazy intense unless you apply like a ton of this stuff. You can get a really nice sheer wash of color, and it's still going to look so natural and a part of the skin because of that texture. So to apply this, I do prefer to apply it with my finger. So I'm just going to dot a little bit and see where it gets me. It blends so easily into the cheeks, like I said, because of that texture. And you see how wearable that is. It looks like such an intense color, but if you apply just a small amount and work it into the skin, it looks so natural. And it just gives you that beautiful flush of rusty coral orange. So that's what Sunset Sky looks like. Definitely a little bit more on the brighter side, maybe a little bit more colorful than some of the other ones that I showed you guys, but still very, very, very wearable and still gives you that gorgeous kind of like sun-kissed effect. Moving on now, we got a Rare Beauty blush here. I actually have two different Rare Beauty blushes to talk to you guys about. I'm gonna talk about these two guys kind of in tandem because I feel like it's worth comparing them. So these are both from Rare Beauty. They're both very, very different from one another. If you want something that is a little bit more on the fuss-free side, that isn't as finicky, I would go for the Melting Blush. If you want something that's more pigmented, that's a little bit more long-wearing, but can be a little bit finicky, you would go with this guy over here. So let's start off first with the Melting Blush in Nearly Apricot. This is such an easy blush to wear. Again, if you are a little bit newer to cream blushes and you're a little bit intimidated by them, this is such a nice formula because it literally just melts on the cheeks. You cannot get this wrong. It's a sheer formula, but it still has some pop to it, so it's not like you're not getting anything with it. But it's sheer enough where you really don't have to worry about it giving you like clown cheeks or anything like that. And as soon as you start to just tap it onto your skin, it just melts in with very, very little effort. The color is also obviously gorgeous, very similar to the other corals that I showed you guys. But what makes this blush really nice is really how easy it is to wear. So that is Rare Beauty Nearly Apricot. So then we have this guy over here, which is very different from the Melting Blush. This is very, very pigmented and like I said, can be a little bit finicky. You do want to work pretty fast with this formula because this is one of those formulas that if you let sit too long on your cheeks, it's going to create kind of like a memory stain of where you put the blush. So let's say you dot it on your cheeks, you wait like 2 minutes before you start to blend it out. When you start to actually blend out the blush, you're gonna have a dot there from where you put that initial color because this kind of like stains the cheeks a little bit, which actually makes it really long wearing. So if you are looking for kind of like a creamy blush formula that's very, very long wearing and very pigmented, this is it, guys. And this stuff will also last you such a long time. I can't even see somebody even going through this because you need such a small amount of this to get a very, very intense effect. Like, do not make the mistake of applying too much. You are going to end up having to put this color literally all over your face because it is just so intense. I know I just made this sound like very unappealing and a little bit scary, but it's not because like I said, what makes it so good is how long wearing it actually is. And this color Love is so unique and very different from any other cream blush that I've ever seen. It's literally like a rusty brown color. So it just gives such a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous wash of color to the cheeks. That's what it looks like blended out. So I would recommend wiping off the doe foot applicator before you go in to apply it and have your brush ready. I'm really making this sound so dramatic, but it just is what it is. Okay, so literally one dot is all you need, like that, and start blending right away. You want to kind of move it back and forth. And it gives such a pretty kind of like rusty red wash of color. You could always apply more. So that is what Love looks like on the cheeks. I love it. It's so nice. So now let's move on to a big drugstore favorite. This is the Flower Beauty Blush Balm in Cinnamon. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. It's like a terracotta color basically, which again, you would think you wouldn't really use this as a blush shade. You would almost think that this would work better as a bronzer, but I'm telling you, this as a blush gives such a sun-kissed, gorgeous look to the cheeks. And I love the formula of the Flower Beauty Blush Balms. They're very gel-like in consistency, so I find that they melt onto the cheeks really, really nicely, as you can see, and super easily. This is a very beginner-friendly blush to use as well. How gorgeous is this blush? Every time I put it on, it kind of shocks me how beautiful it is. I just love how sun-kissed it makes the cheek look. So freaking nice. Actually, a very similar color to Cinnamon is this guy over here. This is the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush in the shade Shiso LA. I love these blushes from Patrick Ta because you get two different formulas in one compact. You have a powder and then you also have a cream. So this just gives you like major versatility because you can use these on their own or you can mix them together. And I just love that in a product. I love a nice versatile product. So this gives pretty much the same kind of effect that the Flower Beauty Blush Balm gives. It gives you that kind of like sculpted warmth to the cheek. So Patrick Ta actually recommends applying the powder first and then the cream on top, which is really interesting and the exact opposite of how I typically apply my powders and creams in conjunction with each other. But it actually works really well with this formula, and so that's typically how I do like to apply it. So I'm just gonna take this blush brush. I'm gonna go in first with the powder. And the powder does have a really, really soft sheen to it as well. It's not glittery or anything, but it does give you a little bit of like glow. Then I'm gonna go in with the cream, with my finger actually, and just kind of dot that right on top, just on the apple of the cheek, and blend backwards. And what's really nice about applying it backwards like this is that the cream still gives you that really, really nice sheen. You don't lose it when you put the powder on top. So that is Patrick Ta, She's So LA. We actually have 2 more blushes left. The first one is a blush that I really didn't wish that I loved as much as I did, because it is honestly very, very pricey, but it is so unbelievably gorgeous, and I actually stop myself from using it too often because I don't want to run through this, and this is one of those blushes that will run through pretty quickly because it's such a creamy formula, and typically really creamy formulas like pick up a lot of product, and so you'll go through it just a little bit quicker. So this is the Khajir Weiss cream blush in Sun Touch, which is really the perfect name for the theme of this video. Obviously another coral blush. This one doesn't have those like rustier terracotta red undertones. This is definitely much more of like a pure just coral blush, but there's just something about the tone of this paired with the formula that just makes it so perfect. The formula is very, very creamy, very emollient, like I said, so it glides on the cheeks so easily, and it's actually one of the few cream blushes that are this creamy that I actually find lasts really nicely on the cheeks. A lot of the times blushes that are this creamy just don't last very well, but this one does. And the pigment is also amazing, so you actually don't really need that much. But oh my god, the color is everything. Everything. And I love the slight glow that it gives the cheeks as well. And the packaging, for it being so expensive, is actually quite gorgeous and very luxe feeling. It's quite heavy as well. I do know that you are able to get the refills, which are significantly less expensive. So if you want to hack the system a little bit, that's one way to get this at a little bit of, I don't want to say discount, but at a lower price. You're probably looking at all of these blushes and being like, why do these all look the exact same? And a lot of them do, but clearly there's a theme here. There's a reason why these are some of my favorites. It's because it's the colors that I go to the most, paired with formulas that I really, really love. This is another fairly new blush in my life. Julia Adams actually got this for me during our shop with me, and I completely fell in love with everything about this, the color, the formula. So this is from Vanessa Myricks, and it's in the shade Ballet Slippers, which I feel like isn't really the right name for this color, because Ballet Slippers you would think would be like kind of a baby pink, but this doesn't read Ballet Slippers to me at all. This is what it looks like. I actually feel like this is the most similar to the Rare Beauty Love Blush, but it's a little bit lighter. Love from Rare Beauty does have a little bit more depth to it, but that's the Vanessa Myricks one, so pretty similar. But this one is definitely not finicky at all. It really just applies so easily. It does also have a matte texture to it, so it's definitely not overly glowy on the cheeks, which is nice. So if you are somebody who has like oily skin and you don't really want something that's going to add too much glow to your face, but you still want to use a cream, this is a really nice formula to try out, because it doesn't really give too much crazy glow to the face. And there's no extra shimmer or sheen in it. This formula is also meant to apply on multiple areas of the face. You could put this on your eyes, on your lips. Like I said, you could really do that with any cream, but the ones that do have more of that matte finish work best on the eyes and on the lips because they're just gonna last a little bit longer. So this particular blush formula I feel like is so underrated. This is from Cover FX, and it's the monochromatic blush duo in the shade Warm Honey. So this little compact has 2 different colors in here, and as you guys know, I love a good versatile product. You have more of a glowy powder and then a matte powder, and the shades are obviously meant to complement each other perfectly. It's a very warm brown, kind of has very, very soft pink undertones to it. And again, it's one of those like sculpting but warming blushes. I'll go in first with the matte shade and I'll apply it on the cheekbone area. And then I'll go in with the glowy side, just pick up a little bit of it and just kind of sweep that very lightly on the apple of my cheek. It looks very, very intense. It almost looks metallic, but on the face it translates to be just glowy and doesn't have that like metallic sheen, which can sometimes be a little bit unflattering. But it's beautiful. Like, how amazing is this little color combo? All right, so that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to let me know in the comments your thoughts on all the blushes that I spoke about today, some of your favorite Sunkissed blushes, and hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already and want to see more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.